It's the Real News Network. I'm Sharmini Pires coming to you from Baltimore. Early this morning, Brazil's Senate voted to suspend President Dilma Rousseff and begin an impeachment trial against her. On to talk about the development is our own Gregory Wilpert. He's joining us from Quito. Good to have you with us, Greg.
My pleasure.
So, Greg, last night when I went to bed, the debate in Senate was still going on. But when I woke up this morning, the results were out already. The vote had taken place. Tell us what happened in Senate.
Well, after 10 hours of debate, the Senate in Brazil voted around 5 a.m. this morning for an impeachment or actually to remove Dilma Rousseff temporarily from office. They voted 55 to 22. And during that debate, they actually mostly talked about the economic problems that the country faces, and hardly anyone even mentioned the actual charges against Dilma Rousseff. So now she is, the removal from office takes effect immediately. As a matter of fact, there's stories that she's already moving out of the presidential palace today.
And there was a last-ditch effort by the president to appeal to the Supreme Court. What was the case she was making, and what happened as a result of that?
Well, the case that she made to the Supreme Court was that this trial was actually not about the violations that she's being accused of, rather that it was a revenge action on the part of the Speaker of the House, the lower house of the Congress, Eduardo Cunha, who himself recently was removed from office by the Supreme Court, ironically, for something like, for a number of corruption charges. He's been charged with taking something like $40 million in bribes. And so she said that this is the reason that the case against her was moving. But the Supreme Court turned down her request and said that the charges basically were valid in the sense of that they were impeachable offenses.
And how are the Brazilians reacting to this decision this morning?
Well, Brazil seems to be extremely divided. There were several thousand both pro and anti-Rousseff demonstrators outside of the Congress last night. Some of them ended up fighting with the police. The MST and other social movements have been very active in supporting Rousseff. And of course, there's a major movement against Rousseff as well, which has been demonstrating very actively. So there's the reactions are very divided, very polarized right now.
Greg, there's been a lot of talk about this coup being an effort to get Dilma out of the way and put someone in place that is more suitable to business, as well as somebody who might bury the charges and allegations of corruption against some of the very members of Congress and Senate that is also facing corruption charges. What do you make of that?
Yes, that's kind of the irony of the whole situation, is that she's being impeached supposedly for a violation of law when most of the people prosecuting her and opposing her are accused of far more serious crimes of corruption and of self-enrichment. And of course, one of the main people behind this is Vice President Michel Temer, who used to be part of her coalition government and switched sides. And he himself is under a cloud of suspicion of corruption. He was named even in the Panama Papers, and he himself has been charged also with the same offense that Dilma Rousseff is being charged with, which is the administrative or the accounting irregularity. So it's really quite crazy. And it's quite certain, of course, that not only will he probably bury most of the investigations, but he will also begin implementing a neoliberal adjustment package for Brazil as soon as possible.
And I noticed that some of the business press, like Bloomberg, is reporting as if he's about to take office and change the economic relations with the rest of the world overnight. And I think this is something we should watch out for. And I also want to remind the audience that in a recent poll that was conducted in Brazil, only 2% of Brazilians said they would vote for the Vice President Temer. So with that in mind, we'll sign off for now. And Greg will be back to you for further analysis, perhaps later in the day.
Okay, thank you.
And thank you for joining us on the Real News Network.